You've probably worked out we like retro games, and this is very retro. It's a modern version of the Atari, and it's the Flashback 4. They're on version 7 or 8, or probably 500 by the time you watch this video. It comes with 2 wireless controllers for player 1, with some reset, start and other buttons, and player 2. And you can play some little games. But what I wanted to do is have a look at one of these 75 games in this video and show you how you can create it yourself using Clickteam Fusion on the PC. So booting up the Atari, this is the menu screen you see. You can flick through the games, and I'm going to head over to a later page for S for Surround. Surround game is a bit like the game Tron Bikes, if you've seen it, where you have 2 players. There's a green one and a blue one in this version I'm showing you. You can change the colours in the Atari, you can change everything in the Atari, speed, colours, all sorts. But if you hit into a path that the other player builds, or your own path, you die. So a bit like Snake, if you've ever played Snake, which was out on the old Nokia phones. The aim of the game then is to outwit your player by turning at the final moment to form a barrier in front of them. Now, one thing with this game is that it moves in blocks when we make it Clickteam Fusion. We could do that, but I'm going to set it so that it's smoother and a more gradual line, but I'm still going to have it that you can only move 4 directions. The other thing that we need to bear in mind is that if you go into your own path, you die. So we're going to be doing something with alterable values, which allows you to keep track of which path you've made. And that's Surround. Let's get to Clickteam Fusion. Okay, I've loaded up Clickteam Fusion 2.5 free edition. You can get it from clickteam.com, and I'm going to start a new application. So click on File, click on New, or you can use the shortcut. You'll notice every time I left click it's a red circle, and every time I right click it's a blue circle, just to help you follow what I'm doing. So I'm going to go into my first frame, that's our level, so I'm going to click on 1, and I've already got these turned on, which you might not have already: show grid, snap to grid, and the grid setup is 32 by 32. That's sort of default unless you've changed it before, and so I'm going to be using a grid to make this game, just to help position some of the blocks. So I'm going to insert a new object. It's going to be our player, it's going to be active, and I'm going to click to drop it down and double click to change it, and I'm going to use the Clickteam colours of having a fuchsia player 1. I'll just put that there, and I'm going to set its movement. So I'll name it, so let's call it player 1. Right, let's go to its movement, and we're going to choose 8 directions, but we're only going to be using 4 of them. So under the directions option in this properties window, if you haven't got the properties window, try pressing Ctrl and D to turn it on. We're going to select just these 4, and it's got the numbers for them, because 32 directions as standard for most objects, and so 0, 8, 16 and 24 are the numerical references for right, up, left and down. So those are the 4 ones, and I can just click off that, I'll remember it, and if I run my application and try the arrow keys, there we go, I'm moving. But currently I stop, so let's turn off some of these. Deceleration, let's turn that off so we can't stop. Acceleration, let's max it out. I think 250 is probably the max. So it goes full speed, and the speed of 50 is a little fast. I'll change it to 40. Now if I run my application, there we go, click once and I move. Perfect. Right, I'm happy with that. I'm going to clone it. So right click there and clone object, give it a twin. Congratulations, you have a brother called player 2. Click twice and let's choose a blue. And click in it with the fill bucket. There we go. Pop you over there. Now this screen isn't that big at the moment. If I run my application, there's not that much space to move around, and we've got the same button controls, so we need to change those defaults. So let's change the button controls. Click on your application, click on the properties of runtime options at the bottom, default controls. We'll set player 1, that pink one, to be W, A, S and D. So up, down, left, right. Okay, and while we're here, we'll change the window size of the application, make it widescreen, and make it 800. Yes, I want to update my frame, and yes, I need to move these to be a bit more central now. So the grid's just helping me here position them, as you can see, not central. There we go, that's about right. Now if I run my application, we are... Oh, wait a second, did I not make sure on your default controls you press OK? No, it's not that, sorry. When we created player 2, he's an exact copy of player 1, and I forgot in the movement to change him to player 2 controls. So there we go. That was the issue. That if they're still tied to each other, player 2. Sorry about that, but you learn something. There we go. Now I can move in beautiful harmony. Let's set a background color so that we can have a path that's quite light. So instead of just inserting a backdrop, I'm going to go to the frame and change its background color because it's easier. So dark grey. And then I need another active object. I'll use the shortcut this time. Double click on a blank area, double click and click. So 5 clicks there, and then double click again to change it, and the path will have it as that in homage, have it as that kind of peachy colour there, and sort of light peach. And let's name it F2 for the shortcut, for those who want like shortcuts. Otherwise you can just choose the about, change path. Okay, I said we'd mess about with alterable values. I'm actually going to do it with flags. With alterable values, with alterable values you can set any number to a reference for objects, and strings are words or numbers. Flags are like switches on or off. So we'll actually do it with a flag, and we're going to set a flag on this to check to see if it can be collided with. Collide. I'm not sure that's a word. Collidable sounds like a word. Anyway, it doesn't matter with programming as long as you know what you're doing. And so we'll have collidable because we'll need to make the path, and then we'll need to make it so that you can hit it. Pop it outside the screen for the moment. And let's get on with our events. So in the event editor, this is where we do the coding. New condition, what are we checking for? Well, player 1 and player 2 are going to have a lot of the same code as each other, so I'm actually going to put them in a group together. And the easiest way to do that is to go back to your frame editor, and I can click and pull around to select them both to change a setting at the same time. And I'm going to go to events, qualifiers. So this puts them in a group. You have to click a few times for this. So once you select them, you have to click in the blank space next to, go to events, click in the blank space next to qualifiers, then edit, then add, then choose. We might as well say that they're players. Okay, and then click OK, and then we're done. And if you did it singly, you'd have to go through it with one and then the other. But because we selected them both, it's applied that both. Now this is going to make our events much neater, because we're just going to say new condition. If any of these in the group, if they position, if we test their position, if they leave at the top, the bottom, the top, the right, the bottom, the left, then underneath the player, whatever player does that will destroy them. So if we run the application now, if I go off, there we go, works for both of them. Brilliant. So we'll have another new condition. We'll say that if a player is overlapping a path but not, so if a player is not overlapping a path, then I want to create an object and create a path, and I want it to be relative to the player. So in the middle of the player, 0, 0 there. So let's just run that now. Now we have an issue that it's checking for one and not the other. So this rule, unfortunately, we're going to have to break down. What's happening here is that the path's on top of them, so let's resolve that immediately. New condition, always set the order of the path, always bring it to the back right now. The issue we've got here is underneath me here is a path, underneath him is a path. So I move off my path, but it's still checking, is there a player on top of a path? Yeah. So I don't need to run this rule. It's only when a player is not on top of a path. So that means that we both have to move. That means we get a weird effect where it only draws sometimes. So we're going to break that down, and we're going to have two rules for it. So if the pink player is not overlapping, then I'm just going to delete this. Right click, delete. We're going to create a path under the pink player. And then we're going to copy all of this down, well, just maybe the code down, pull the words onto the words to copy, and double click to change. So, and I'm going to reorder them by dragging. Then we want to create an object, a path under the blue player. Right, oops, missed it. I can use relative to, or I can actually click on the object and it'll link it. Relative to. Let's try that now. Better. Okay, right, so but we can cross over our paths. Let's do that. So we want to, we'll have the same issue checking to see if the path has been drawn and left by a player than we had just there. This overlapping rule is too vague. So what we're going to do is we're going to always check each of the paths. So we're going to, under always, we're going to start a count for each object. We're going to, we'll call it check. We're going to check. So this will run the check loop. So let's make the check loop. So path loops, we want to check on each object. So check. So it's going to start the loop and then run this. So we want to check if the path, and it needs to check the path is overlapping the player. I want to negate that, and it's important that order because we want to refer to a particular path. If it's not overlapping, then we can set its flag of collidable to on. Right, so now a new condition: if any of the players collide with another object of the path, and insert that the path alterable values, though it's hidden there, is on. If collidable's on there, then that's actually going to destroy us. So if we run the application, we cannot walk back into a path that's ours or someone else's. Let's check someone else's. So just blocking this pink one. Yeah, great. And there we go. That's working. So now we need some scores. So we'll go back to our frame editor, and we can find it under game score. So score objects are memory that's held unless you restart the application. So let's set this to be player 1's. So under settings for player 1, great. And I want to edit it to match player 1's color, and I press A for get font, and that's fine. Okay, okay. And then I want to double click. I want another one for player 2, and let's get it to match its color, which I can't remember, but is around about there. Import font. Okay, okay. There we go. And then we can quite easily say new condition if there's only one player on the game. So or even better actually, we can check to see if this one's destroyed. So pick or count. So has the last one been destroyed? So have the last player 1's been destroyed, and we'll do the same for player 2. So pick or count, have they all been destroyed? So if the pink one's been destroyed first, then we want to add to the score, which is held here. This is the visual part of the score. This is the actual score controls. So let's score. Oh, whoops, sorry, player 2, score, add to score 1, and then I'm going to drag this to here. So add 1 to player 1 score, same rule. And also I want all the players to stop movement, stop, just in case you're about to hit a wall. So there we go, and I get a point. And let's have a timed restart. So we'll fire a timed event, fire an event after giving delay. Let's give it 4 seconds, and what we call it, restart, makes sense. And we'll drag that up here so it does the same thing. New condition, on event, restart. Then we want to restart the frame, not the application, because that will lose our score. So if we run the application, I'll get a point, we get 3 starts. Great. Well, there we go. We could change a few other options in it to make it more like the original, but I'm quite happy with that. So we've done that in nine lines. You could possibly do it in less, but I'm quite happy with that. So you can head over to this website and play it and download the source code and have a go at making your own surround game. Okay, till next time, bye.